She wasn't in the car. She wasn't at the scene. She didn't cause the physical act. But when investigators read the messages, they stopped asking where she was and started asking who was really in control. Because sometimes the most dangerous influence comes through a screen. In 2014, Michelle Carter was in a long-distance relationship with her boyfriend, Conrad Roy. The relationship was intense but unstable. Both struggled emotionally. Both spoke openly about fear, anxiety, and uncertainty. But investigators later noticed something critical. Michelle didn't just listen to Conrad's distress. She guided it. She framed his pain as a problem that needed a solution. And slowly that solution became irreversible. Experts later identified several psychological traits in Michelle's behavior: externalization of responsibility, romanticized martyrdom, moral disengagement. Instead of seeing herself as a participant, Michelle cast herself as a supporter. Instead of saying, "I influenced this," the narrative became, "I was trying to help. I didn't cause it. He made his own choice." This framing mattered because it allowed her to encourage action while avoiding ownership. Investigators reviewed thousands of text messages. What they found wasn't accidental. Michelle repeatedly discussed methods, reframed fear as weakness, encouraged follow-through, dismissed hesitation. At one point, when Conrad expressed doubt, she pushed him forward. In psychology, this is known as coercive encouragement, persistent reinforcement that shapes decision-making under emotional vulnerability. She didn't issue commands. She applied pressure disguised as care. That distinction became central to the case. On the day Conrad died, Michelle Carter was not physically present. She was miles away. She had no physical contact with him, but phone records showed continuous communication, immediate awareness of events, knowledge inconsistent with distance. This is called instrumental influence, when control is exerted without proximity. Investigators concluded physical absence did not equal psychological absence. After Conrad's death, Michelle didn't withdraw. She talked to friends, to classmates, to people who later contacted police, and her story kept shifting. She said she tried to stop him. She didn't know it would happen. She was also a victim, but messages contradicted those claims. In behavioral analysis, this is known as post-event narrative reconstruction, reshaping the story to reduce personal responsibility. The more she explained, the more inconsistencies appeared, and those inconsistencies led investigators straight back to the text. Based on evidence presented in court, investigators determined Conrad Roy was emotionally vulnerable. Michelle repeatedly encouraged self-harm as a solution. At a moment of hesitation, she reinforced the action. Her influence removed a critical barrier: doubt. This case wasn't about physical force, it was about psychological momentum. And once that momentum passed a certain point, the outcome became tragically final. Michelle Carter wasn't caught through witnesses at a scene. She was caught through digital records, consistent pressure patterns, her own post-event explanations. Most importantly, she was caught because the messages preserved intent. Unlike spoken words, texts don't soften over time. They don't forget context. They don't reinterpret themselves. The court concluded that influence, when sustained and targeted, can carry responsibility equal to action. Experts highlighted a recurring pattern: victim stance persistence, deflection of agency, self-image preservation. Michelle didn't see herself as harmful. She saw herself as misunderstood. But the law doesn't judge identity, it judges impact. Michelle Carter never touched him, but she shaped the moment when he stopped resisting. And this case changed how investigators think about influence. Because in the digital age, distance doesn't weaken responsibility, it can hide it.